Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
And we are back live, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment with Ahmad Salim, ahmadsalim.org. Barely got in here during the break out there printing off articles, going over breaking news we're going to be covering at the start of the next segment. Colonel, in the last 4 or 5 minutes we have left, you have the floor to finish up points and topics that you'd like to relay with your incredible breadth and depth of knowledge. I can't think of someone who could be more informed about what's happening in Egypt, more informed about what's happening in Syria. You got cut off pointing out that the Syrian people were, quote, many of them ingrained with a very deep, and then you got cut off.
Yes, sir. The Syrian refugees, most of them were brought up in a Middle Eastern country controlled by the ideology of hating the West. The West to them is the infidels, unfortunately. And if we open our doors to them, instead of we go secure our borders to prevent any trespassing on the American borders, we open the doors from the other side by Mr. Obama's decision to let them in. I just want to mention back what happened in Benghazi. Benghazi started from Egypt because at that time, simultaneously when the Benghazi attack was going on, the blind sheikh's children, which is Dr. Abdullah, they were demonstrating and setting fire in the American embassy in Cairo. Our intelligence uncovered and intercepted some communication. It didn't broadcast it at the time, but since then disappeared, that they informed their followers in Benghazi to set fire in it. And that's when we lost our ambassador. It started from Egypt, it ends up in Benghazi, and it was a deal of weapons to these people who we don't even not sure that these weapons one day, if we give it to them, it will be used against us. Unfortunately, we didn't learn from our lesson when we allowed the blind sheikh to enter the country, and he turned against the country and ordering me to go build a bomb and blow up the World Trade Center and build a bomb and go blow it in the army and at 96th Street in Manhattan. So we need to understand that these people talk from both sides of their mouth. They might say, yes, we are coming to America because we love America, but we have to really understand what are we doing, who are we letting in. And I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it is safe for the American people to let these people to go and roam into our country. At this time, we have to strengthen our military again. We have to start to lead, not to be led, and not to give time to ISIS to grow. What happened with ISIS since they were the JV team? We gave them the time to grow. Now they are taking over Syria, they are taking over Iraq, they have been in Libya, they went back to Egypt, and they are bombing everywhere, Paris, Germany, and now we want to bring them in. It just spells catastrophe.
It does. Wow. Well, Colonel Ahmad Salim, thank you for your courage, your amazing analysis. ahmadsalim.org. Folks, get his book, On the Run. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Folks can find the book at Amazon.com as well. On the Run, Ahmad Salim. Thank you, and have a great weekend coming up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll be back with Dr. Corsi. Dr. Jerome Corsi joins us till about 33 after or so. Then we're going to open the phones up specifically on what do you think Obama and Merkel and Hollande's endgame is, bringing in millions in the case of Europe, hundreds of thousands in the case of the U.S., that's the real number, of radicals, many of which do intend to engage in terror attacks. This is one of the craziest actions I've ever seen, but I had a big whistleblower on, a former Egyptian army colonel, author of On the Run, Ahmad Salim, on. He's the guy that exposed and tried to stop the first World Trade Center attack. He stopped 5 other attacks, but the FBI was ordered to stand down. He was on saying he believes it'll be another false flag. This is Obama's false flag to bring these people in to then take our liberties. Now, folks know I like Donald Trump, and Dr. Jerome Corsi knows Donald Trump and has worked with him on a lot of big stories. But I tell you, Trump has come out and said surveillance state will combat Islam in a Yahoo News interview. The interview's up on Infowars.com. He says databases and special IDs will be issued. And he says, you know, folks aren't going to like giving up their rights, but basically you have to. No, you don't let them bring the refugees in. You go after people with profiling for what they've committed or who they're affiliated with. You don't go after the entire public. That is not the answer. In fact, I've had former head of technical from the NSA in this studio. And he said more data swamps everything. They need targeted. But see, that doesn't let them spend tens of billions a year on no-bid contracts. There's another article out today about this from RT USA. Leaked NSA doc reveals sheer luck needed to find useful info in sea of surveillance data. Well, I have that from Thomas Drake, William Benny, you name it. Now, of course, Dr. Jerome Corsi is WorldNetDaily.com, WND.com writer. He's a PhD from Harvard University in political science. He's also an economist and worked for some of the biggest banks out there. He's worked as a consultant in terrorism and secretive operations for the State Department. And, of course, he's the guy that ran the Swift boating operation, which was accurate. I commend him. I don't even like George Bush. It's just John Kerry is who they say John Kerry was, total fraud. And he's also written many other best-selling books, #1 New York Times best-selling books, JeromeCorsi.com. So, Dr. Corsi, this is even getting too crazy for me to believe. I've had reporters in France all week. We see attacks in the U.S. like at Fort Hood and the Army, Navy, Marine Corps recruiting centers not being called terror. The Garland attack not being called terror. And as best I can tell from talking to you, talking to Ahmad Salim and many others, Obama's gotten in over his head. He's been blackmailed through Benghazi, probably blackmailed by the Saudis, by the Turks, and by the Muslim Brotherhood. He's in deep with them, and now it's gone to the level of they basically have a compromised, controlled president. Whether he's a sleeper cell, radical Muslim or not, he might as well be one now. And this is like a science fiction movie. I can't even believe we're in this much peril. And every angle I look at, the analysis only goes from bad to worse. In your expert analysis and what you know, what is really going on right now? Because this is insane.
Well, I mean, clearly Obama is beginning to embarrass himself with his cavalier attitude. When I wrote Abomination, I pointed out that Obama was raised a Muslim in Indonesia. He's never renounced that. Obama, I think, has given every indication that his sympathies continue to be with Islam, and he's making that clear again. Now, the idea of flooding the United States with refugees as if that somehow excuses, and this is a small number of the people who have been displaced in Syria, when Obama and Hillary Clinton were responsible for destabilizing the Middle East, including destabilizing and destroying what's left of Syria. And suddenly Obama wants to play this guilt trip that we've got to take in Syrian refugees. It's ridiculous. The American people aren't going to stand for it because the risk is apparent. You've got organized ISIS terrorists who are clearly capable of crossing borders, communicating across borders, using encrypted technology, getting into the United States. Launching
simultaneous attacks.
And coordinated in efforts that they persist in. When they are thwarted with one attack, they plan another. And not deterred even by law enforcement. In fact, law enforcement's going to find it very hard in Europe to get down to trace all the potential terrorists. People are traveling freely between Europe and Syria, participating with ISIS, going back to Europe. They're crossing the border with Mexico. And Obama's basically is showing dereliction of duty. He's not defending the people of the United States. And he shows no enthusiasm for supporting the people of the United States, which is his primary constitutional obligation.
A lot of experts say he's mentally ill and has lost grip on reality. I mean, I think that's even more frightening than if he's just a pure traitor. I mean, what is he thinking? He's committing political suicide in front of everyone. I mean, we know we're going to get hit by more terrorists now. It's already happened. He just can't have the media label it as non-Islamic now, Dr. Corsi.
Well, Obama's getting indefensible. I mean, he says, you know, the day before we get the Paris attacks that ISIS is contained. He ridicules the GOP for orphans and widows, and then a woman terrorist bomber blows herself up in Paris. You know, you've got clearly a president that's out of touch with reality. And as I said, when I wrote The Abomination, Obama he starts with a hatred of America. He's a socialist. He was trained by Frank Marshall Davis as a communist. Obama was trained also in a Saul Alinsky organization. He wants radical revolution. He wants to weaken the United States. When I wrote Abomination, I predicted that we would have more racial strife in the United States, a weakened America internationally. We would have terrorism on the increase, all of which has come true. And Obama, as far as I'm concerned, is carrying out the agenda he was elected saying he would carry out.
But in his crazy leftist red diaper doper baby world, he really thinks radical socialism and collectivism can ally with radical Islam. And I know historically it has allied, but I don't get how you get feminists lecturing Western men who are the most loving to women out there, undoubtedly, how they hate us, but then they love people that would sexually mutilate them, not let them drive cars and put bags on their heads. I just don't get what sick freaks these Gloria Steinem people are.
Well, it's bizarre. I mean, the idea that the left would embrace Islam, it's only because, you know, whoever hates my enemy is my friend, and the left hates America. Radical left hates America, right? Obama, Ayers, the whole group of the radical left, and that's who's taken over the Democratic Party.
You know, I used to always hear they hate America, but they really do.
They really do.
I mean, they really do. It's like mentally ill children that hate their parents. It's like spoiled, rotten brats that you hear that, you know, kill their parents. This is the exact same type of crap.
Well, it comes down to a self-hatred. It comes down to fundamental psychological problems, and I'm not a psychiatrist, but they hate America. They blame America. They won't credit America with any of the good things America has done in the world. And as a result, feminists, as you point out, who should loathe Islam for its treatment of women, basically one of the worst religions in the world, if you want to call it a religion. And I mean, you know, the way radical Islam is practiced is an ideology. But beating women...
Radical Islam is the enslavement of women.
Yes, it is. There's no question about it. Radical Islam has no regard for Islam. The desired sexual creature in radical Islam is not a woman. That's been the reality for anybody who knows anything about the Middle East. And this is radical Islam. These are the extremists. These are the ones who want Sharia law. But
they're the ones that are willing to blow themselves up. And am I right in saying that geopolitically they're gaining ground? They're becoming dominant Islam?
Well, they are becoming the force of Islam, the vocal force. As I've said, Islam needs to go through a reformation, but the voices and forces that should be speaking out condemning Islam right now are silent. This is the problem. Islam needs to have a reformation, and there's no voices in Islam speaking up for that reformation. And if we have the radical jihadis hijack the religion and take it over, you know, we're going right back to Charles Martel and the Battle of Tours, because the Europeans have already once decided that there was nothing they could do with Islam except kill them all and throw them out. And if Islam wants to go down that path with the jihadists, it's going to come to the same conclusion.
I was about to say, these young radical jihadists that think they're killing a bunch of liberal French and people, if they think that's the real resolve, the veneer of civilization will peel off Europe and the United States very, very quickly, and then it's going to get really, really nasty. They shouldn't take the weakness of a bunch of liberal college kids for the rest of us.
Well, in fact, you know, of course, you know, Europe is not the spoiled children in colleges today who, you know, want Woodrow Wilson removed from Princeton because they think he was a racist. I mean, this insanity, these spoiled kids, I don't know how any of them are going to get jobs or how any of them are going to be employable. But at any rate, the idea that Europe is now, I mean, this attack in Paris has done more to destroy the European Union in one event than I could have imagined possible. And the European Union needs to be destroyed. This whole idea of eliminating countries and one world government. It's also ironic these terrorists are in Brussels, which is the home of one world government.
It's the center.
It's where the EU, the nameless.
My reporters were there yesterday, tried to go in restaurants, tried to walk, and were just screamed at and run out 3 times.
Well, the European Union is going to quickly change, because when people are this, if you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a concert, you can't go to a mall, innocent victims are being slaughtered, and this was slaughter. This was no noble attack. This was cowardly slaughter in no gun zones, which they knew were free of anybody in the terrorists being opposed when they were doing their merciless attacks.
Dr. Corsi, we got to go to break. WND.com. Jerome Corsi's our guest. When we come back, I'm going to ask him, how much more dangerous will Obama get? I mean, here's the headline on Drudge. Limbaugh, Obama has become dangerous. And I think it's what everybody gets now, that, wow, he really is out to get us. The nightly news tonight will be 7 o'clock Central. Coming up in about 35 minutes, Anthony Gucciardi takes over in the 4th hour. He's got a big lineup of news for you as we've added that 4th hour. Dr. Corsi is our guest. The toll-free number to join us when we come back in the next segment after Dr. Corsi leaves us is 800-259-9231. How dangerous do you think Obama has become? I think he was always dangerous, but now I really do see that he's moving even faster than I thought possible. 800-259-9231. House bill to bar Syrian refugees from U.S. without more vetting just passed the House. It's probably believed to be set to pass the Senate. It passed 289 to 137 by wide margin. It's politically popular. Obama says that he'll just veto it. Well, what happens when there's a terror attack? Then he's directly responsible. This is unprecedented. Dr. Corsi, he's got to be blackmailed. I mean, there's no reason for him to be doing this politically. The optics are so bad.
Well, I mean, I continue to say and have always said that Obama's sympathies are Muslim. I've written extensively about it. I think Obama has always worn this ring, which has the Shahada on it. I still believe that's the case. I know the White House tried to alter the ring, but Obama was wearing this wedding ring, which has got from Indonesia with, looks to me, Muslim inscriptions on it, since he was in college, long before he was married. I mean, even at Harvard Law School, they do a joke law review issue every year. They were mocking Obama about this Muslim ring that he wouldn't explain why he was wearing it. I mean, Obama, I think, sympathies have been Islam, and he's telegraphed it any number of ways. I mean, I don't know what he may, for all I know, he may be an atheist at heart, but the point is he was raised a Muslim. He's never renounced the religion, and I think he wants to expand, the chaos in the Middle East for his own goals of reducing the power and influence of the United States and his leftist agenda of revolutionary transformation of the United States.
Well, let me ask this question. What you wrote about 7-8 years ago about Obama has all come true, so we'll give you that again. You've been right, Doctor. But how are the elites allowing this? I mean, I know there's not one elite, but there are different elites who've become very powerful off of American prowess. Why would they be allowing this to happen? Is it just it's so fun to be politically correct that they think this is cute?
I think you're seeing in Europe the beginning of the end of the political correctness, at least a correction in it. I mean, in Europe, as I say, that this one attack has done more to bring the EU to an end than I thought possible. I think the EU is seeing a swing of the pendulum over to more conservative parties that want security, that want to eliminate this multicultural nonsense, this multicultural nightmare that Europe has become, the loss of identity. I mean, Europe is becoming a Muslim nation, and what they don't understand is that Islam reaches a critical percentage.
8%.
You're in Sharia law, and they'll lie about it. They'll lie about what their true intentions are. Unfortunately, the radical Islamicists are currently in control and in the ascendancy. And what you're going to quickly see the United States and I think Russia combined to do, with or without Obama, is, the basic idea of massive retaliation throughout the Middle East. If Islam wants to put the civilized world, Europe and the United States, under the condition that these people need to all be eliminated and killed, I think you're going to be surprised to find the Europeans willing to turn the Middle East into glass with nuclear weapons before they allow themselves to have more terrorist attacks like they did in Paris. I think this is going to backfire against the radical.
Sure, and you can argue the U.S. has done some bad stuff in the Middle East. Europe's pretty much been out of there for 50 years, so this is really picking a fight here. Dr. Corsi, you got a minute and a half.
Obama caused this. This is what people got to remember. Hillary and Obama sided with al-Qaeda and destabilized Libya. They were bringing weapons in through Benghazi. That's what our ambassador was doing there.
And that caused the chain reaction.
Caused the chain reaction to stabilize Syria. This is the result of a conscious policy by Obama and Hillary that is at their doorstep. They caused the destabilization.
So they are the authors. They should be held accountable.
Precisely. I agree entirely.
I know you said you could hold on a little bit longer. I want to do 5 minutes, and we'll let you go, Dr. Corsi, on the other side of this break, because I've got to ask you, because you've been so frighteningly accurate. I mean, I'll be honest, I had you on 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, but I thought you were smart, but I just didn't believe it all what you predicted. It's actually coming true like a crystal ball. So I want to ask you when we come back, what do you expect Obama to do in his last year in office? What do we do to try to stop him? How far will Congress go in letting him go crazy? I mean, there's got to be, because for the first time ever, I'm beyond scared. It's more just like ready to take action. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to stop this, but I know for my family's sake, I need to get even more aggressive with these people because they are just crazy criminals. They're like psychopaths or something. I want to get your take on what they're going to do next. Coming up, whistleblowers claim the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, rushed contentious climate paper despite reservations that it was a fraud. Feds approved genetically engineered salmon for human consumption, frankenfish. That's just some of the news we've got coming up. Hillary Clinton is criticizing a comedian that made fun of her. She's saying Bernie Sanders is sexist again. I mean, this is just, I think this is what it's come down to. I know that leftist ideology and collectivism is such garbage historically that I just can't believe that practitioners of it believe it when they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. But I think Obama, more than Hillary, actually smokes the dope and actually has the chips on the shoulder, even though he's had this silver spoon life. And I guess there's a certain vandalism against the West. I don't know what you call it. So Dr. Corsi, in closing, Dr. Jerome Corsi of WND.com, WorldNet Daily, in closing, what do you expect Obama to do in the next year in office? How do we stop it? What should we be looking for next?
Well, I think Obama cannot be trusted to defend the United States. I think he's going to do everything he can to get Iran nuclear weapons. Iran's going to advance very fast in its accumulation of uranium and its advance in nuclear technology. Obama will do nothing to stop it. I think Obama's going to essentially throw Hillary under the bus, blame Hillary for the Middle East. I believe Hillary Clinton will be under criminal indictment before the election, likely both from the Department of Justice.
Wow.
And also in the states. Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to be prosecuted in the states for the foundation. They're going to lose control over the foundation. The Democrats, I think, have resolved that they're going to lose this election. Hillary's been picked to take the fall. No other Democrat, reminds me of 1952 when the Democrats knew Adlai Stevenson was going to lose, and no serious Democrats would win.
Just like the Eisenhower situation.
And Obama's going to clean out the old Hillary Clinton wing of the Democratic Party, all the old Democrats.
So he is involved. I've heard that from other insiders. There is an Obama coup over the Clinton machine.
Absolutely. Obama's going to take the Clintons down. Obama will not let the Clintons have control of the White House, which means control of the Democratic Party. This is going to be the demise of what's left of the centrist wing of the Democratic Party. It's going to
Wow, so as bad as they are, Doctor, you're saying it's about to get even more radical.
Yeah, it's going to get more radical. And they're going to try to align with the forces in the universities to do an Ayers-style revolution, which will mean opening the borders, rushing to the end of a new world order, climate change, all the things that Obama has predicted will want to do. He's going to rush to do. He's going to fail. I think there will be more terrorist attacks in Europe. I think there's going to be terrorist attacks in the United States. And ultimately, Donald Trump, it's all going to benefit Donald Trump. Donald Trump's numbers are going to continue to rise. Very soon, I think you'll see Donald Trump over 50%. You're going to see more and more terrorists stopped at the border. You're going to see more and more criminal activity. The country is going to close the border, and the country may start throwing out Muslims in Europe and the United States if Obama continues to press this agenda. I think Obama will settle for cleansing the Democratic Party of the centrists, the Clintons, make sure they're prosecuted. The Clinton Foundation is in its last days. It will be put under receivership by one or more of the states. Clintons will lose control of the foundation, and the Democratic Party will move far to the left.
I tell you.
And in the process, we will hit the wall. As soon as interest rates rise, we're going to see a global recession, global depression. The debt bomb is going to explode in the United States and Europe. Obama set that up. Obama's been borrowing money, doubling the debt. That's all going to come to roost. We'll be into another 2008 or more severe recession. When interest rates start rising, stock market could easily lose 4,000 or 5,000 points.
Well, I tell you, I have to say that I know there's the CFR and globalists, and they want global government, and I've talked to a lot of smart people like you, and they said, look, the leftists plan on double-crossing. The professors, the think tanks plan on double-crossing the elites. And I think the elites are starting to figure that out, that they didn't just use radical Islam and leftist ideology to scramble the country and divide and conquer, that there are leftist factions that are going to go for everything. And I just can't believe that the rich elites, that the West made them so rich that they would create these horrible organizations that now even threaten them. And I just hope that the establishment, I know it's a diverse establishment, has figured this out. I mean, I'm starting to get some inklings of that. Are you getting any inklings like that maybe there's some elites in the West that don't want to commit political suicide? Well, there are. They're thinking about it very seriously. But the Clintons are criminals. And they're going to go down. They're going to be thrown down. They're going to be thrown down hard. When the Clintons go down, a lot of the people who are around them are going to go down. There'll be multiple prosecutions of the Clinton and their close associates. It's going to spring into Wall Street, and the list of people being published, like the Washington Post, the people who have backed Clinton, are all going to back away from them. They're all going to get scared. They're all going to stop funding them. The criminal elite, which has been what Clinton has cultivated, is going to be ultimately hunted down much more than it has been. And the New World Order crowd, I think, is going to be very surprised by the reaction of a revival on the right and a demand for closed borders, a demand for return to family, the LGBT agenda, all of these extremes to which it have gotten. The left overplayed its hand, and I think is now in for a severe setback. The left knows it. The left is going to let the Clintons take the fall, regroup, and in 8 years, the left will try to rise again. I think Obama knows it. Valerie Jarrett knows it. That no serious person on the left is running in the Democratic Party. You've got the Elizabeth Warren saying, we'll wait out 2016, let Hillary go down hard, put up Biden, whomever else, he'll lose, and then we'll regroup 4 or 8 years when we have a chance to come back and do it the right way. I agree with you, and it's key that patriots, libertarians, constitutionalists don't let the old rhinos come in and destroy this opportunity, that we try to save the country, reform it, cut the taxes, cut the spending, turn the engine up, rebuild our infrastructure, rebuild our military, and try to restore the republic. And I think the elites would be smarter doing that than this whole globalist operation that is in the end going to destroy them as well. And I'll tell you, one reason that I've been so against Black Lives Matter and other groups is they're so clearly controlled by Soros, is that I've learned the last few years that the government, the military, even the FBI, you name it, these agencies now are really awake to what's going on. They've always had problems and corruption, but they really want to go after the corrupt people in government. They don't want to be corrupt. They don't want to ruin the country, and they're just waiting for the American people to give them the opportunity with the grand juries, with the states and others, to really bring justice to the criminal elite that you mentioned. And so we are at a major crossroads. I think the next 14, 15 months, don't you agree, is going to decide so much the future of this country and the world.
I think you're going to see people like Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi under criminal investigation. I think you're going to see it extend into the leadership of the Republican Party. I think the grassroots of the Republican Party is going to reject the Washington Rhino leadership. And Wall Street's going to have to decide how much longer it wants to play this leftist game. If Wall Street continues to play it, when the economy turns around, there's going to be a massive sweeping out of Wall Street, because this entire Goldman Sachs engineered debt structure with the Obama doubling our debt is going to come crashing down.
And it was the Clintons that engineered that.
Well, and it goes even, it goes way back. I mean, Greenspan was, beginning.
But sure, but wasn't it Larry, because you're the expert in banking, wasn't it Larry Summers and the Clintons that really green-lighted the crazy derivatives?
Yeah, well, the derivatives were going, Summers and the others said, we don't have to worry about debt. The Paul Krugmans and the others have as much debt as you want. Debt's good. All this basically return to fundamental economics of spend, 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 and it's not, and debt is okay. And I think that all that economics, we're going to see a repudiation of the entire economics of, the post-war era come crashing down in this debt structure. And Wall Street's going to have a comeuppance with it as well, as will the Republican establishment. The country is in, yes, there's going to be, major upheavals in the United States. But I think the smart forces, the Valerie Jarrett's within the Democratic Party, realize that Obama overplayed the hand, and now they're going to retrench and wait 8 years until they have a chance
and now he's just throwing a fit, overplaying it that much more with arrogance and disconnected from reality. A stunning analysis. I think this was the best interview ever, Dr. Corsi, but obviously we're in very, very dangerous times, so the information is going to be hardcore. Very powerful interview. We'll be reading your articles at WND.com. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, folks, this isn't rhetoric here. I've gone past the hair on the back of my neck standing up at this point. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, this is crazy town. When you've got weirdo Nazi collaborators running basically the media and the government and trying to shut down free speech and putting transvestite bathrooms in the first grade. I mean, it's just Twilight Zone how nuts these people are. And then they're just radicalizing Muslims and funding Al-Qaeda. Reuters 3 weeks ago, remember I read that headline like 20 times. It was, White House criticizes Russia for bombing moderate rebels al-Nusra / Al-Qaeda. The moderate Al-Qaeda. I mean, how dare you bomb Al-Qaeda? I mean, I'm reading this. I'm reading, national poll, Democrats want to arrest those that deny man-made climate change. That was 2 days ago. They're freaks, people. They're total crazies. That's not liberal to want to arrest me for my speech, you crazies. I used to say they're not crazy, they're not crazy, they're not crazy. They've taken over. There's a method to their madness. They're not crazy. But at a certain point on a power trip, someone who's not crazy becomes crazy. At a certain point, bravado, chutzpah, arrogance, hubris, whatever you want to call it, becomes mania. I mean, as I've gotten a little more power and reach, I mean, let's face it, the show has a lot of power. It's scary. I've gotten less confident, less mindless, more humanitarian, I guess you should say. I mean, I was pretty arrogant when I was 22. With a radio show, weeknights in a major city. But compared to these people, I was never arrogant. I mean, these people are nuts. And your arrogance can only take you so far. And the smarter you get, the more you realize arrogance is your weakness. I'm going to go to break and come back with your phone calls, or maybe I'll go to them right now. I've got a few minutes before break. The optics of everything the globalists are doing is bad. Like the Pope coming out and announcing world government. And they still have news articles saying no world government exists. Don't people know that only makes our credibility rocket? And the average person in government is not the enemy, because big government's the problem, but people in government aren't the enemy. On average, I've talked to them. They're more awake than the public. They know how corrupt it is. I mean, there are a lot of good people in America and in the world. And I've really had a chance to discover that. And we've got a lot of hope, but at the same time, we got a lot of danger. Briefly, you know, we fund this operation with your purchases. We're not like MSNBC that got billions of stimulus money through NBC of taxpayer money, or NPR, 440-something mil a year. Then they beg for money every week and have Rockefeller Foundation and Ford Foundation funding. There's no foundations here. It's you, the people of America and the world. We try to bring you the very best products at the very lowest prices. If you'll just try the nascent iodine and see for yourself, if you'll just try the Deep Cleanse that's now back in stock, it is our best seller. Technically, it's not, because we can't ever keep it in stock and can't get enough of the Shilajit. If you'll just try the Oxy powder, if you'll just try the Prostagard or the true oil of oregano that we have, the Mediterranean type, it's amazing what it's done. If you'll just try the Secret 12 methylcobalamin, or if you'll just go check out the G-Shock survival watches that we have at the lowest price you're going to find anywhere. You can find counterfeits, I guess, for less. It will then fund our operation, and you'll get great products. And this Christmas, this holiday season, shopping with the Patriots is more essential than ever. If you fund us, we'll just grow more in the face of the tyrants until we defeat them with your help together, or they crush us. We win either way in the animating contest for liberty. So Deep Cleanse by InfoWars Life is back in stock after selling out months ago. In just a few days, our newest run is still a limited supply, and it's extremely hard to procure the organic ingredients that make Deep Cleanse so special. Deep Cleanse uses nanocolloidal zeolites and organic compounds to aid, like Shilajit, in the body in true cleansing. It's the best all-in-one product by InfoWars Life to help the body cleanse itself naturally. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades of scientific research put together, the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing at a very, very low cost. Secure your Deep Cleanse at InfoWarsLife.com today. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or InfoWarsStore.com is the big umbrella site. Super Male Vitality. I mean, if there's one product that I felt the next day, it was Super Male. The iodine took about 15 days. Deep Cleanse takes about a month. But just all together, I don't even know what works best now, because I'm taking all of it. I would take one at a time, you know, because I've never been a big vitamin guy. But we develop these, so I take my own products, so I know they work. And you just start taking all of it. When I remember to take Knockout a few days a week, take me to deeper sleep, that's excellent. InfoWarsLife.com. And finally, in insane times like this, you've got to have storable food that lasts more than 20 years, that's been recently packaged, that's super high quality and clean. I choose My Patriot Supply for my emergency pantry. It's insurance you can eat. We've got their full spectrum discounted. They also private label it as InfoWars Select, InfoWarsSelect.com or InfoWarsStore.com. It's the exact same stuff, packaged at the same time, but contractually we can do a little bit bigger discounts on already the really low prices with InfoWarsSelect.com. So we carry it all, the full spectrum of My Patriot Supply, and we carry the full spectrum of InfoWars Select. It's the same stuff, just a little bit less, InfoWarsStore.com. And finally, I just want to see if this will happen, because we only sell like 10 of these a day. It's such a great way to wake people up. We've come out with this sheepdog design, Chasing a Wolf, made in America. It's $8.95, and we've got just the basic InfoWars coffee cups as well. Check those out. Great gift to give this Christmas. And your friends and family, believe me, you'll start visiting the website when they've got a coffee cup like this that they're drinking coffee out of every day or every week. Or just have one for yourself, give it to your boss, your employees, and it supports the transmission. We'll be back with 2 segments of calls. Obamacare is designed to destroy health care and then have a handful of mega insurance companies take over and have single payer. There's a step closer to that. This is out of USA Today. United Health warns it may exit Obamacare plans. Insurance giant United Health Group dealt a blow to the Affordable Care Act Thursday. So again, the insurance companies went on Fox, CNN. They admitted all of this years ago, but their constituents are just such moron idiots. They have no idea what's about to happen. And no matter what system it is, it's going to be a screw job because it's written by these companies that control the government and have created a fake free market. A real free market, you'd get the lowest price, highest quality would win. Now, you got to buy it from them? You're screwed. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you had to eat at one restaurant, would their food be gourmet? No, the price would be incredibly high and it'd be crap. And that's not rocket science, people. It's not rocket science. Who dominates the frozen pizza market? Well, whoever's got the lowest price with the highest quality taste. It's real simple stuff like that. I just can't believe it. Dante in Colorado, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm just calling because Obama is obviously, abusing his power. And originally I'm from New Orleans, and I just want to take a minute. And I appreciate everything you're doing. I ordered so many of your products, and I don't want to do a plug here.
Well, listen, I'm going to come back to you because I noticed we had a call from Sweden that I hadn't got to yet, and I don't want and I want you to be able to come back and talk, but I want to go to Sweden first because I'd promised to go to that caller first, and I forgot. So I apologize. I'll come back to you, Dante, in a minute. Nicholas in Sweden. Sorry, I had forgotten you were there. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay, Alex. Greetings from the PC capital of the world.
Yes.
The originator of the Stockholm Syndrome.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the situation here in Sweden, it's like being on the front line. I must say, I think I know how the people in Vichy, France, felt like, because we're being occupied, basically. And it's really, really scary when you see your society crumbling in front of you and you can't do anything about it, it feels like, because everyone you speak to are having a severe cause of, cognitive dissonance. There is resistance growing, but I think the danger here is that many people are putting their hopes into, the political system, which is, of course, rigged. I mean, we have the Sweden Democrats, for instance, that have, in the latest polls, they're the biggest party now in Sweden. So there is a resistance mounting. The problem is, however, that even if this party, is good, I don't trust politicians myself, but even if this party is good, all the other parties combined, they've already shut them out.
Sure. Describe what it's like to live in Sweden. I mean, I've read reports where they won't even report the number of women raped because it's politically incorrect. They won't arrest people for rape. And reportedly, the Muslims have gotten so radical, they just run around bullying everybody and are like gods.
Yeah, let's just say this. We had one case now, not very long ago, in a Swedish town where there's these refugee centers that they set up for, the orphan children or whatever, lonely immigrants that come without their parents, so to speak. Here in Sweden, we call them skäggbarn, which is bearded children, because everyone knows that they're not children. They're grown men, but they're basically, put out there as that they are, children. And there was this woman that went outside one of these, homes for these so-called children. She was brutally raped. And then when she was raped one time, she managed to, get up and walked away and tried to, get help, basically. Then there were other men from another, of these homes that raped her again. And
sure, I saw that in the news, and then the police didn't even arrest one of them, if I remember correctly. It's just over the top. You should tell your testimony online on YouTube. You should write an article about it. This is the murder of the West by design. And there's plenty of nice Muslims we could bring in, but they don't. They bring in the radicals. We're going to come back with more calls. We are back live, broadcasting worldwide. I am your host, Alex Jones. Final segment I'm hosting. We'll continue with your calls. Anthony Gucciardi's coming up to cover the latest in the economy, what's happening overseas, the open borders, and more. We were just talking to a caller from Sweden. Dante, sorry to cut you off. I had just promised to go to that caller first if he was able to hold. Go ahead from Colorado.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to say, Obama is obviously abusing his power.